President Donald Trump has canceled the American delegation's trip to this year's World Economic Forum due to the ongoing government shutdown. The annual gathering of political and business leaders in Davos, Switzerland, takes place amid fears of growing protectionism and the possibility of a global recession. But if all this drama is stressing you out, worry not. Help is at hand. Our Guy Henderson reports from Norway.
In the noisy age of a globalized world, how about some silence? Erling Kagge and Borg Orsland think we could all do with more of that right now. When these Norwegian explorers became the first humans to reach the North Pole unsupported back in 1990, often not even the wind blew. There is a cool breeze running through the hills outside Oslo. But it's the nearest we could get to a step back ahead of this year's World Economic Forum to gain some perspective.
The world has been speeding up for thousands of years, and I think today it's making us less happy. We're getting distressed, we're getting frustrated, we're getting depressed.
These worldly adventurers say coming up here makes them realise we've got a view here. Something down there isn't quite right.
To think about de-globalization, I think it's a bit naive, but I also think it's naive the way we're living now, believing so much in progress. So I think it's time to stop, think through properly what you're doing.
Not endlessly. Indeed, for Kagge, reality bites rather sooner than expected. He's called back to the office, leaving Orsland to remind us we've always been explorers.
That's how the globalization started, with an axe and a spear.
But at the moment, he says, we're misusing the many tools we've gained.
We have to leave something for the future generations. So it's just about finding that balance, I think. You could still be a part of a globalization, but I think you should be proud of your culture. You should be proud of your identity. You would need it for the future.
These days, those concerns are widely shared.
I think Davos is part of the problem.
With even some at the heart of the establishment asking, is economic growth on its own enough?
Who are the people that have really benefited from it? And yes, there are hundreds of millions of people being taken out of poverty in China and India and Latin America. But back to the Western world, there's a lot of lower income and lower higher income people that kind of like, well, I didn't feel any better.
Those issues seem a world away from Davos, and yet they're on the minds of many leaders ahead of the World Economic Forum.
Including that of US President Donald Trump, who has cancelled his visit this year. But Trump has repeatedly suggested the problem lies with the very rules and institutions that have governed the global economy for decades. His many critics here in Davos may not agree, but they widely acknowledge something needs fixing.
Maybe that cool mountain air might bring some fresh thinking, though few here are keen on a slowdown of any kind. Guy Henderson, CGTN, Davos.